You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Marin After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Marin After Show.
Hey there, Marin fans. What's up? You're here at AfterBuzz TV. It's the Marin After Show, Season 2, Episode 3, Therapy. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me, of course, fantastic panels here. JB Zimmerman's here.
Yeah, I am.
Is he?
Yeah, is he? I don't know. Steve Kaufman's here.
I am here.
And, of course, the bad boy of indie comedy himself, Jesse Klein is here.
Hey, everyone.
So, honestly, I absolutely loved this episode. It's a bummer when things don't work out between couples, but this felt very raw. It felt very true to character. I liked that, we tried to address a lot of Mark's issues in how he handles relationships, and we also kind of got a wonderful twisted look at what it might be like to be treated by a couple of therapists. Yeah, how do we feel about this episode,
Definitely.
guys?
I loved it as well. I thought it was a real way to kind of see the decay of their relationship in kind of a unique thing. They tried to make it work, and they just had fundamental differences in the end.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was interestingly paced. At first, I wasn't really on board with it. It felt a little choppy going from like them at home to the therapy session and then at home. But eventually, it really paid off.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and I kind of hope she comes back one more time so we can have the huge explosion we're all expecting.
Right.
Like, I hope her driving away isn't it. Like, I think there's something else in the house,
Or at the very least, they didn't really have a ton of discussion. She just kind of left.
Yeah.
So, we as an audience, and I'm sure Mark, the character, would prefer some more closure. I agree with you, Jesse, that it is kind of paced rather aggressively, because we have all of this material before we even get into the therapy, and then we're trying to build that whole story. And then, to have it end in this breakup, it does feel sudden, but her point is correct.
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there comes a point where there's nothing left to talk about. He's 50, he's been divorced 2 times. He has no real interest in having a baby with her right now, and she's 30. That's what she wants, and she's not going to get it here. She knows that's not going to change in any kind of realistic way in an amount of time that she feels comfortable with.
Yeah.
And, she's a strong enough person that she's going to get what she wants, even if it's hard. There's no joke there.
You were sentimental real quick.
Really,
I like it. Just
Really
got real.
summed up the feeling.
I think you were thinking of a pun jar, and you were like, I'm not going to finish that sentence.
No, it was like, it was
We
there.
instate a
It
pun
was
jar.
waiting. It was rising from the depths. Again, not a joke.
No.
We're just gonna let that lay.
It was a bummer
enough.
episode, man. It was a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of a roller coaster ride. I feel like it started off bad, and then you got the hope that they were really going to come back and make it work when the therapy seemed to
Right, it was starting to
work.
pay off.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it, right? So we open on Jen's 30th birthday. Mark's throwing her this wonderful party. All her friends are there, and as we know from previous episodes, Mark isn't a big party guy, and if I'm not mistaken, these are the same 2 guys from the party at the end of last season, who come over, and he's so not having it, and the John Belushi looking guy, is complaining.
Pluto, I believe.
Yeah, Bluto.
Yes.
A reference to Animal House, and he's like, you're gonna need more of this vodka, blah blah blah. And Mark's like, yeah, why don't you go to a meeting? What's going on with you, man? And he forced him to look at himself real hard, and his friend, like a dick, is like, yo, that was totally uncalled for, but also totally completely
It's
true.
like Mark's superpowers. He makes you really introspective at any moment.
Yeah, it was definitely a cold slap in the face of reality.
Yeah.
He's going to address the one thing that you don't want to think about, that you don't want to know.
And then he gave her tickets to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And she was
Which is a huge gift.
Yeah.
It's a great gift, and she was not jazzed about it.
No, she got headphones and she did a twerk.
Yeah.
And she got these tickets. She's like, oh, wow.
Thanks.
Hawaii. Thank you.
Totally.
That's like this like measured when you have like this measured space between statements, you know it's not working out. Wow. Thank you.
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Thank you.
This is great. Space.
I love this scarf.
Yeah.
Although
Thank you for the
It
scarf.
fits me well.
What a considerate gift.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was very much so like a gift from grandma that you would
Yeah.
never want or
Yeah.
use ever. It's like,
Ooh,
oh, great, I'll totally put this in a stack
A
where
tire
I'll never
pressure
touch it again.
gauge. A tire pressure gauge.
Yeah,
That's a
thank
good-
you.
how- that's a good
How
gift.
useful.
A gun
I have a
rack.
crappy car.
Thank you, because I don't own guns
A
yet.
gun rack.
so-
How useful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful. Would you like some more cake, Grandma?
And then she decides to have sex with him.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a thank you sex.
No, it's just
There's a
sex.
motive.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
Exactly.
she wants the baby batter.
Oh, that's
although
right.
if we're
She's looking for the seed.
we're gonna
of
flip the
course.
script a little when it comes to communication. Hey, maybe tonight is when you can come inside, and it's probably not the best way to say, "Hey, I'd like to
have a
a baby
baby."
with you."
Right.
Those are two different
Yeah,
sentences.
she went 0
That's true.
to us having kids pretty
Right.
fast.
Yeah.
And I guess that means she's not on birth control. His
Mm.
disinterest, which like I mean I don't know.
That's not a decision you make in the moment
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
she's unhappy with your present.
Well, I mean, that's a really good way to get pregnant. Is to make that decision
But
in
yeah,
the
it
moment.
shows
Yeah.
that their birth control method is not decided by Mark because obviously.
well, I mean it shouldn't be. It's her decision.
Well, no, I think it should be a communal thing. They should decide together. This is what we're going
At
to do.
least a
'cause we're not
discussed beforehand
ready.
a
thing.
Yeah.
discussed thing that I think
Yeah.
she ultimately has the final say on. But like, most men would be thrilled with the opportunity to come inside of a beautiful woman. Sure. Under the right circumstances, namely birth control, which I guess they're not
Right.
using.
Yeah.
So Mark he just kind of lets that pregnant pause, again, not a joke, lay. Again, not a joke.
You're hitting him. You're hitting
I'm,
him real
I'm
hard.
hitting. I'm like batting 1,000 for puns I don't want to make, and she's immediately turned off. Wow. Okay, I'm offering you the opportunity of a lifetime, pal. I mean, granted, it might spawn another life, but hey,
Well,
it was-
agree to disagree.
yeah,
I think.
for sure. But in any case, they're not on the same page. It's obvious. And so,
Wait, if it's his first time coming inside her, she can't get pregnant, right?
is that what
No, no,
they
if-
told you,
also-
Jesse?
That's true, right?
That's what
Also,
you learned
yeah.
on the hard streets of Portland?
Also,
Yeah.
if she's on top, it's just gravity.
Oh yeah, if she's on top,
And she
can't
was
get
already going to
pregnant.
be on top.
Yeah,
Gravity. It's
Gravity
not
won't let it
happening.
happen. Yeah, no, that's just science.
It's not science.
Everyone out there listening to this, apply this to
It is
real life.
a branch of science known as junk science.
Matt Lieberman says if she's on top,
Nope.
then she won't get
No,
Matt
pregnant.
this-
Lieberman does not endorse this.
This is on
God.
Wikipedia right now.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. I hope if there is, I doubt there is a Wikipedia entry for me, but if there is, I hope that someone adds Matt Lieberman endorses, woman on top, you can't get pregnant.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
if I think if we say it enough, they will.
No.
I'm just imagining the future lawsuits of all your
No
illegitimate
thanks.
kids.
Or the
just
illegitimate
seeing
kids that
this.
I caused. Well, and the legitimate ones that I caused. Yeah.
let them meet each other.
Yeah. They'll start a
Yeah.
club.
Yeah.
It'll be like the movie
Just-
Delivery Man, but actually funny.
Oh, I never saw it. I can't.
Yeah, we're
judge.
It's not good.
Okay.
In any case, Dave Keckner comes the following day for his installment of WTF, which they're actually about to strike. We're on episode 499 of WTF, which means that next week,
close.
early next week, I think number 500 is going to drop.
500.
Yeah.
Oh,
450 was Will Ferrell. I'm actually very excited to see who he gets for his 500th
500,
episode.
man.
Yeah.
Matt
yeah,
Lieberman.
that's a big
Nope,
milestone.
that's
No?
not,
No.
not
Are you
a thing.
508?
Probably.
508?
Yeah, I'm
Probably
508.
probably Obama. I mean,
That would be.
That'd be a big
That'd be a get.
Yeah, that'd be-
a pretty good.
No, but here's my dream scenario.
dream scenario.
Ooh,
He
let's
gets
hear it.
Lorne Michaels.
Ooh.
His Lorne Michaels obsession is a long-established
Yeah.
running thing through WTF, and he's been wanting this interview forever. So it'd be really cool to see him get it. That would be really exciting. All right, so Keckner shows up, and Mark's again talking about his relationship live on the air, and Keckner's kind of setting him straight, and he's like, "Look, I got this therapist. He's a lifesaver." Okay, she doesn't nag me. My wife doesn't nag me about my drinking anymore, and I didn't have to give her a sixth kid in order to do it. Dave Koechner has a lot of kids.
It's a lot of children.
Yes, he does. And I read this interview with him, an interview that he did with BuzzFeed of all places.
Sure.
Where it was right around when Anchorman 2 was coming out, and they detailed he was making breakfast. He broke some eggs into a pan and then grabbed a square of lasagna and tossed it in with the eggs. And ever since, I've been fascinated by this idea.
Have you tried it yet?
Of lasagna scrambled eggs. No, I've not tried it because I don't regularly make lasagna, but it's all I can think about. When I think of Dave Koechner, the second thing I think about is lasagna eggs.
Well, pre-made
really
lasagna.
good.
Sounds
is
really
available.
good.
Guys, I
real
think we
good.
should stop the podcast and
And
go
go
do
get
that
some
right
lasagna
now.
eggs.
Or next week, we'll all just have.
Yeah.
A big one in the middle.
I'm so down for that.
Let's do that.
We interrupt this podcast for a short break for the host to go make egg lasagna. We're back.
That was
Oh my
delicious.
gosh,
so
Aren't
good.
we so
The
happy
best.
that we did that?
Yeah, that was really good.
How is it not included in lasagna as a recipe from day one?
What?
Ah.
I don't think that it belongs in all lasagna, but I think now all lasagna belongs in eggs.
I think we can just ask Garfield what he thinks of lasagna eggs.
Well, I hate Mondays, and honestly,
No,
I didn't eat the eggs.
you didn't eat the eggs for lasagna eggs?
No, I just need the lasagna.
Did you give him the normal?
I gave all the eggs to Nermal.
Okay.
Garfield,
Nermal's
quick-
allergic to eggs.
Quick question: why do you hate Mondays if you don't have a job?
Listen, every Monday the neighbor has loud sex, and John won't believe me, and I can't sleep. I can't eat lasagna. They come in front of the windows and they make me watch. Only on Mondays. John's never there and he thinks I'm crazy.
Wow, that's a haunting tale, Garfield.
A harrowing story from Garfield.
I wonder what Bill
So,
Murray's up to.
yeah. Or, poor Lorenzo Music too. Lorenzo Music, who voiced Garfield on the original cartoon and also played Peter Venkman on the Ghostbusters cartoon.
Yeah.
But then
Whoa.
Lorenzo Music died, and Bill Murray played Garfield in the movies.
Whoa.
So isn't
Yeah.
that kind
The
of like a
living
weird
legend.
reflexive
Depth.
thing?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
Took 3 people. I'm one of them, but
I'm the other one.
yeah. But in any case, Koechner needs to crap something fierce. He had a
That happens sometimes.
whole
Nature
pan
calls.
of huevos rancheros because his kids didn't want it, and Mark goes into the house and he tries to get Jen to get out of the tub. She's taking a bubble bath in the middle of the day, listening to music, trying to soothe herself, and Mark is robbing her of this pleasure. Meanwhile, it's taking too long. Koechner just goes and
Cannot wait.
squats in the savory. He squats in the bushes. His ficus is going to be extra fertilized.
yeah.
Yeah. And Mark's like, all right, well, you should clean your hands. Oh, yeah, where's your hose at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how he first puts his hands all over Mark.
Yeah, he just touches the shit out of
Yeah.
Mark.
Have you guys ever crapped in public? I mean, I've peed in
public?
Yeah.
I personally have
Public or
not, but I have
in-
seen a friend
outside of
do it.
outside.
Well, yes,
In the-
outside,
in-
plenty. I'm a veteran of probably 8 or 9 Outward Bound courses. Outward Bound is a youth leadership course that's pretty much. I did sailing for them like 3 or 4 times, and then they
So
do
you crapped
hiking.
in the water?
Well,
Like off the side of
no,
the
no,
boat?
Off the
sailing,
side of the
no, that
boat?
would be terrible for the water.
On
And
the
sa-
sail. You just do it
Hey,
on top of the sail.
ocean's big
No,
toilet bowl,
sailing.
man. The fish
Sailing.
do it.
There's a
The fish do it,
giant.
I'm
Sailing.
saying.
There's a giant thing that you dispose of properly, but in the woods, you just dig about a 6 to 12-inch hole and just go.
And then,
6 to 12. That's a sweet
Yeah.
spot.
and then
More you
use-
know, guys.
And then use moss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah.
actually, instead of toilet paper, you do use leaves because it would. I feel like I'm the only.
Well, no, I know there's.
No. Keep explaining how you're weird, because you're a weirdo
Okay.
who
Well,
craps
here's
outside.
a phenomena. I feel like everyone my age has a story of how they poop their pants as an adult, or
Yeah.
like post 14 years old.
Right.
I've never had a
No,
pooping
I
emergency.
do not have one of those
Okay.
stories.
No.
Okay. So I guess we're a bunch of unicorns. Because
You guys are. I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone I know has like these stories where it's like, yeah, I just pooped in my car. Like I didn't have any other chance.
I have no
Is that
rectal
that's a thing,
control.
Apparently,
It's very much a thing. It's why I can't. It's
Okay.
why I will never eat Kentucky Grilled Chicken ever again. Yeah.
Having a lot of fun.
It's a story for another time. But in any case, Keckner gives Marin this information, and he and Jen are en route to go see this therapist. Before we continue, just want to mention really quickly, iTunes folks, thank you for downloading or streaming this podcast. We really appreciate your support. The fact is, here at AfterBuzz, we put out between 60 and 70 hours of quality content a week, and it's all free. You can access it whenever you want, like you're a god or a king or something, and we're just your subjects or your servants, and we're just giving you all the recaps you could possibly want or need.
I've kissed so many rings.
He's kissed so many rings.
So many.
They're all Prince Albert rings.
Oh.
Yeah, they're gross. They're in a dick. But here's the thing, people. You can support this network and all the wonderful free programming by going to iTunes, rating and reviewing the podcast that you listen to. It legitimately helps everyone here. It's how we get our sponsors. It's how we keep the doors open and the lights on. So, we don't want your money. Just give us a little bit of your time. Rate and review the show. We deeply appreciate all the help. All right, folks. So we're in this therapy office. Paul Feig, guest star.
Yeah.
Love seeing him. Very rare to see him in front of the screen.
Yeah.
Or in front of the camera. And I really enjoyed his portrayal of this kind of nebbishy, henpecked guy who's also, he's married to a much younger woman. And he's so desperate to keep her that he's allowed himself to just be eaten alive. Almost.
Yeah.
Right.
As soon as he was like, this is like not normal, but I'm gonna bring in a second therapist. I was like, there are 2 chairs there.
Yeah.
There are 2 chairs.
This
that
is
he has
normal
set
for
up.
him.
This is something he does every single time.
Although
Yeah.
the second
2
he
chairs.
said, Marin said yes, and he went, okay, thank you. It was like, oh man, this guy that made his life, because that's what his wife obviously wants.
right. Well, he's clearly out of his league.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's a very attractive woman, obviously younger.
She's
and
more of a shark. He's more of a jet.
definitely. And he even admitted
Or
that
Guppy.
they went
I
to
was
school
thinking
at the
the
same
animals.
time, and she came out first.
Yeah.
She and Jen are getting along really, really well. They're going to do their couples counseling together, but then they're each going to have separate counseling.
Yeah.
And, Jen and Delphine are just hitting it off. And Mark is terrified that Jen is turning Delphine against him, which is like a semi-valid concern.
Yeah.
Therapists are supposed to be objective, but they're still people. And Mark is not the easiest person in the world. He's not even anywhere close to being on the list for easiest person in the world. And, Jen may be difficult too, but, she's younger. She's more like Delphine. They have a lot in common. And they can hear, Mark and his therapist can hear all this laughter coming through this vent. This is just a very poorly chosen style of practice.
Yeah.
Because you can hear what's going on in the other sessions. It's not right.
Well, also Mark and the male therapist, I forget his name.
I forget it too.
Paul Feig.
Paul
Feig.
Feig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're
Dr. Paul Feig.
We're put in a tiny little office, like a secondary office that was nowhere near as good as the one that the 2 ladies were in.
Yeah.
Like clearly, this is his room that Paul Feig gets put in when Delphine is doing business.
Yeah.
Like, this is like you just go into your little doghouse.
Yeah. It's very representative of who he is in the marriage.
Yeah.
Jen raises a point before they even go in where she's like, we're not even married and we're already going to couples counseling. Like, this doesn't bode well. And, on a level, I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. I feel like if it gets that bad and you're not even married and you haven't even been together that long, there are some serious issues that need to be worked out. I'm very pro-therapy.
Sure.
I had a lot of terrible therapists and psychologists growing up, but then I found one as an adult and I was able to turn my whole life around. And I think everybody should find someone objective that they can talk to. But these therapists are just so completely preoccupied with their own crap, and they're just kind of projecting everything onto their clients.
Yeah.
Which is horrible.
Although it kind of worked. at first.
It did because
Yeah.
it gave them something to talk
That
about.
was so that moment where they're making dinner and they're talking about how terrible their therapists are was a really like sweet moment, and I was like, oh, that's why they work.
They're bonding.
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
it.
This is why
This is how
why
they
this couple
bond.
works.
Right.
Yeah.
They bond by finding things to crap on, basically.
Yeah.
Because
and-
they were both incredibly negative about each other.
Yeah.
Except for pretty much the sex.
Right. So find something that unites them other than, crazy, I want to kill you sex. Which on the chart of like types of sex to have, I would say best but also most dangerous.
Are we
Yes,
still making
Definitely,
lists?
definitely.
Yeah. We're making we're always making lists.
Well, yeah, Marin used cathartic a few
Yeah.
times in the episode, which
Yeah.
obviously means, release of strong emotions. So
Yeah.
it's sort of that episode in a nutshell. I mean, it kind of repeats it as the therapy session in general.
Hey
Yeah.
man. Sex as good as a good cry. I'm down. I love a good cry.
When do you find yourself crying the most?
Right
Kids
afterwards,
movies.
right?
Kids movies.
Kids movies.
I'll find 3 in the morning and it's like a 90s rom-com. Yeah. I'll cry so
Our soundboard is just getting
Oh,
a
man.
workout tonight.
so good.
Yeah.
Killing it, though. I like it.
Yeah.
And they're having this cathartic sex. They're getting along for once, and Mark had kind of described when he was in his solo session. He said Jen is kind of a broken person. His dick is a broken detector, which makes his therapist laugh.
Yeah.
And then they come back in, and they're all happy. They're united for once. Things are better.
Looking forward to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Nice.
Instead of, Hawaii. Wow. Thank you. And Delphine starts quoting Mark verbatim from this private session.
Yeah.
Which,
I know,
like,
complete break of the bro
yeah.
code.
Yeah.
not just the bro code.
The Hippocratic Oath.
Hippocratic Oath.
So the
That
bro
too.
code.
The law also.
Yeah.
I feel like the bro code is here's the bro code, here's the law. I mean, they're close, but
Hippocrates was quite a bro.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was a huge bro.
Yeah.
the original.
The
almost.
original bro, probably.
Exactly.
Well, Benjamin Bro
Yeah.
Franklin was the original bro.
Okay, guys. But
Welcome to the How I Met Your Mother.
no, she's quoting it
Show.
directly, and she's exposing him in front of Jen in a way that's really messed up.
Yeah.
And Mark is like silently kind of obliquely trying to say to Paul Feig, like, hey man, maybe you should correct her because this is not cool right now.
This is wrong.
Yeah, so he drags him out for a private session, and we kind of get a sense of how bad this marriage is,
Oh, God.
and how desperate Paul Feig is for just some sense of normalcy within this marriage, and he's just trying to make his wife laugh and pay attention to him at all while she's trolling for dick on Facebook
God.
with old flames, and Mark then just proceeds to tear this marriage apart. And I don't think I've ever laughed as hard watching this show
was-
as Mark's sheer glee
that
at
was-
wating them fight.
Just like yes.
It's just a brilliantly
Okay.
edited scene.
Yeah, it was really
It's a
funny.
perfect now we're even moment.
Yeah. Just like, finally, the joy that I'm getting from watching these two
There's
fight.
always a GIF that shows up on Reddit that if there's a really good thread where a bunch of people are just yelling at each other, there's a GIF, I don't know what show it's from, but it's essentially a guy in like an 80s TV show dancing with a folding chair and then puts the folding chair down and then sits in it and just so content to watch whatever's about to happen.
Yeah.
Like it's this idea like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
They're gonna fight.
Yeah, well, I just like how Mark turned it against him. Like he did the exact same thing that Paul Feig did to him, where like he had a moment of vulnerability and like he gave Mark like this information, and then Mark just came back and turned it against him. It was amazing.
It was
really well
beautiful.
done.
Of course, however, Jen not appreciating any of it because she,
not a fan.
she recognizes that despite what was going on with Delphine and everything, that the therapy had been working.
Yeah.
And he just basically crapped all over it because he had a grudge. And he couldn't admit to the fact that, yeah, he said some messed up things behind her back. He could have just admitted to it and said, I thought I'd be protected by the Hippocratic Oath. Not cool on the part of both of you. I apologize for saying it. But yeah, I tend to date complicated people. Maybe broken wasn't the right word. Like, there are all these opportunities to bridge a gap instead of continuing to grow the gap.
Sure.
And instead, he's just very kind of single-mindedly driven by his id. Whatever's bothering him at the time, it's just going to take over.
Well, I also think Mark is scared.
Yeah.
Like I think it's 100% that he is scared
Totally.
of like having a child with this woman, and like what that means, and is he gonna get another divorce? Like all of that kind of stuff. Like he's running away the entire episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, if he still has to remind her to clean her dishes and to get a pile of clothes, you know, out from the middle of the hallway, you know, in his mind, that means there's no reason to have a child, that she's not ready to handle it.
She got a vacuum robot.
Yeah. Which, you know, again, he could have been, there's a better way to say
Yeah.
it. You know, like that's wonderful, hon. I'm sure it'll help keep the place clean. I'm worried that the cats might get freaked out by it. Let's test it out and see what happens.
Put a speaker on it, make a DJ Roomba.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what DJ Roomba sounds like.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah, no,
I know.
got it.
don't
Well,
know.
no, we got it.
Awesome.
No, we got
We
it.
all thought it.
Yeah. We just, no, we got it.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, DJ Roomba. In any case,
Spoilers, guys.
they leave the therapist's office, and Jen gets in the car and leaves Mark there and just drives away.
2 episodes in a row.
Sensing a pattern. And when he finally gets home, she's packing and she's ready to leave, and he's trying to get her to stop. And he's like, "What do you want from me? Do you want a baby? Do you want me to put a baby in you?" And she's like, "Yes, I want you to put a baby in me. Come inside me right now and put a baby in me." And he just lets the moment breathe, and she has her answer. He's never going to be ready to have a baby with her.
Yeah.
It's not something that he wants. So she puts her crap in her car and she drives away. And
Going
he's
to Seattle.
gone to Seattle to grad school, and he's deeply saddened by it. And it's interesting because, you know, listening to the WTF episode where he talks about his breakup with the real life Jen,
Yeah.
and then listening to this one, there are actually like whole phrases lifted from that original podcast. It's not verbatim, but it was very interesting to see that moment relived, and it's like a very well acted moment, I thought.
Yeah.
Felt very real. And then he goes and starts doing his live read for AdamandEve.com,
Oh, jeez.
which like often, he'll talk
Yeah.
about these very dark personal moments and then start talking about AdamandEve.com. And for once, he couldn't even get through it. And he shut off the computer, sad and defeated.
Adam.
Like that. That actually happened. in the
Yeah,
episode.
like that,
Yeah.
except, you know, like real and with humanity, Stephen Lemieux, our engineer.
Yes, like that. Oh man.
Oh,
I don't know what to feel now.
all right.
Such a mix of emotions.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna play us this time.
Yeah. All right, so next week, exciting. We have the return of Sally Kellerman as Mark's mom, which is exciting, and apparently he's taking her to get tested for STDs. What do we think? Anything else is going to happen? Do we think Jen is coming back? Do we think another love interest this season, or are we tapped out of love stories for the year?
I like him without Jen. Like I have a feeling we're gonna get Jen back at least one more episode. But I like for the majority of the season from now on, like for him to just be going on his own adventures without her, kind of like last week, kind of like the first half of the first season. So that's my hope.
I feel like we're gonna get lots of pieces of awkward dates. Like
Yeah.
just like
That'd be fun.
Nice,
bits
yeah.
and pieces of just like maybe a conversation and a date or something like that.
What do you think, JB?
I like that. I like both of those. If I may piggyback on your guys'
Go ahead.
thoughts.
Do it.
I really want to see him on awkward dates. I really want to see him and how that whole mom scenario plays out. Hopefully we get an awkward car ride back from the clinic. But yeah, if Jen comes back, I think it's going to be kind of in a small dose, maybe just seeing him on another date, more of a conflict than rekindling any type of the relationship.
Yeah.
I think we've seen that twice.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked out. I don't think it's...
I think it might be he goes to Seattle for a show, and she shows up, something like that, maybe. I don't know. I personally, I'm looking forward to seeing single Mark again, but I am the biggest fan of seeing Mark Maron be challenged, you know, in his ways, personally, having to stretch, and this relationship forced him to stretch. So I'm hoping we get more of that soon, perhaps in other ways. All right. I want to thank you all for listening to the podcast. We'll be back
Definitely.
next week with an all-new episode.
From executive producers.
We're going to get to that in a second. Jesse Klein, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at JessKlein1.
All right, and Steve?
They can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufman, like Andy, one more N.
Okay, and JB?
Nice. They can find me on Twitter at JB_Zimmerman. I also host AfterBuzz shows for Riot on Fox. Silicon Valley, we have the finale coming up, and not the Sunday, but the next one. And guest hosting on Fargo next Tuesday.
Oh, nice. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. You can find all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on youtube.com/SourceFed or /SourceFedNerd. AfterBuzz shows coming up. Got the Mad Men finale this week. Halt and Catch Fire starting June 1st. Under the Dome is coming back. Lots of great stuff. The Strain later in the summer. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.